And then Shopify released their own e-wallet. Okay. And they made, I think it was Shopify app rule number 13 or 14. Yeah, alternative refund methods are forbidden. And
so all of your arms.
Our entire business, all of our arms were chopped off, and we were an arm company.
All right, I'm here with Oren Charnoff, founder of Fondue. He is the second guest ever on The Hard Pivot. I'm going to do a little bit more of an introduction later. But again, this podcast grew out of my experience going through a pivot at my startup and then sharing about it publicly a few weeks ago. It wasn't that long ago, and just got inundated by people saying, thanking me for sharing for various reasons. They had gone through a pivot, they were going through one now, they're about to go through one. And I thought it'd be really interesting, instead of hearing all the success stories and how everything went great that we always hear about founders and startups, or the things that like how they failed, let's go through the stuff that like was actually there along the journey. Like how did they change? How did they pivot? Did they pivot? Which so many founders do. So I won't do too much more intro because you guys hopefully by the second episode are used to it. Maybe this will be a later episode. We might release it later. Who knows? But without further ado, Oren Charnoff, like I said, founder of the startup Fondue, went through a few different iterations. Fascinating story. Oren, welcome to the podcast.
Happy to be here. I bet no founder wants to be in this chat. It's almost a necessary evil, but no one plans. Oh, I can't wait to speak about.
Not from the beginning,
one day.
Right? But then afterwards, I feel like people do want to speak about it, or at least I hope so, because I'm doing this podcast.
It's therapeutic.
And who outside of something like this, where we're here to talk about your pivot. Who wants to hear about your pivot? Nobody wants to hear how the sausage is made. How the sausage is made, not sauce.
No, it's a sauce factory analogy.
Right, sauce, not sausage.
DiGiorno. But
right.
I would say
no, but no one wants to. No one
only
wants to hear about
someone
that,
going through it. Only
right.
someone going through it. Just like to
or
be
who has
reminded.
gone through it.
Well, to gone through it, yes, but there's not a lot of forums for people to talk about that.
Yes.
But it's only when someone's going. Yeah, right. That's why I think it's great. But what I'm saying is only when someone's going through it, then they want to hear from someone that it can work out.
Right. Like, what do I do? So I think, I'm curious. I think people who are going through it now will absolutely get value out of this. But I also think other people will have gone through pivots or maybe didn't go through pivots, but will just want to hear about the thought process. I think that's the most interesting, right? Like the pivot is the thing to me is like the hook that gets us to talk about business, right? It's like we're going to talk about a whole bunch of things about assumptions made and things that failed and what you do, how'd you react and do differently. And the fulcrum is the pivot, but really we're just talking about like business in general, which I find interesting.
No, I agree. I'm also here, but I think also this will be for people who aren't founders. It'll just be interesting to hear about how it happens.
Yes.
Hopefully, it'll give founders more of a permission to pivot sooner because you're like afraid to admit to yourself, at least I was projecting here, that you have to pivot.
Yep. I definitely want to get into that. So don't forget about
We'll save it for the structure after you, Zach.
No, there's no particular structure other than I do want you to just give like a quick background of yourself, sort of pre-starting Fondue.
Yeah. Pre-starting Fondue, I worked in venture and I was at a family office before. So I was kind of new to being like senior at a startup. I was at a startup a little bit after college, but I was in every definition of first-time millennial founder.
Okay.
I thought, this is 2021.
2021.
The VCs are drunk on money. We feel like we're special millennials. We raise the money quickly. Like we thought we were...
Right, but at the time, you didn't think, the VCs are drunk on money. You thought, we're $1 million. We're golden, right? Like,
thought we were 10 million.
Now looking back, you can say the market was crazy.
Yeah, but my background before I was an investor beforehand.
Okay. And you said you had a little bit of experience at a startup, but not in any senior capacity.
Yeah, I was an entry-level role in a startup out of school. Then I went to a family office, and then I worked in venture.
Did the entry-level role get you excited about startups? Had you already been excited about startups? Did that play into your decision to start a company, or totally irrelevant?
A lot of the people who I worked with went on to start some great companies.
At that company?
Correct. Connect Team, Panaraise, Melio. So I saw my peers starting companies who were maybe a bit more senior or just as junior as I was.
Okay.
So it made it feel extremely tangible. I guess like if a high school friend started a business,
right.
But these were my peers entering the workforce.
It's interesting in its own right. It's like when you see people around you doing something that may have seemed Herculean before, and then you're like, wait, if they can do it, then I might be able to do it too.
Yeah.
It's like having role models close by.
Sure.
You're like, I don't care about that.
No, I'm saying I think there's multiple ways that get someone. That was a contributing factor.
I'm sure your time with the VC fund also was.
Yeah, I thought I had some insights, and I certainly did on fundraising, not necessarily on operating a startup. Also, the folks who I was working with and for encouraged me. They thought that it's a good life rap, a worthwhile one to consider doing.
Okay.
And I also wanted to. I wanted to build a business, and also my co-founder, one of my two co-founders who I did this with, he and I built our friendship around maybe one day starting a company.
How long had you known him by that point?
So I met one of my two co-founders, Abraham Lucy and William Herland. So with William Herlands, I met him through my wife and her family, just when we were together on the Upper West Side, the family events they did
Of Manhattan,
together.
New York.
Of Manhattan, sorry, yes. And that's when he and I built this friendship around work. He was getting his PhD in machine learning, and he was starting businesses while he was doing his PhD. He succeeded in 2 of them. So
Including or excluding, like before Fondue?
before Fondue.
Got it.
So I would say in this unstructured
It's a great guy
discussion,
to get attached to, huh?
yeah, I think the main reason why I started the company is because William, A, wanted to start a company with me, and B, he was ready to start another company at that moment.
Right.
So I felt like opportunistically,
Stars aligned.
yeah, or just I wanted to, for him to be a founder alongside him, I just felt like
Right. Here's a successful founder, and you want to
Yeah.
start a business with me, and like
the orbit was also in a big way around William. He's someone I wanted to try and
Yeah.
hopefully succeed with.
yeah, yeah.
And then I met Abraham through him.
And so the 3 of you started a company together.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what was the start of Fondue? Was it was it the first idea you had? That's what you built, or was there ideation? Would you say, okay, we want to work together? Did William or you have this idea, and let's build on it? Like, what was the ideation process like?
William had the idea.
Okay.
William said, I want to build a business doing this. And I got to play big boy venture capitalist. Let's find you a co-founder and early customers. And so I said to my team, I'm going to spend half my time working with him to try and find him.
Oh, so this was when you were at the VC fund?
Yeah, this is when I was at a fund called Hanaco Ventures.
Got it.
We became close friends. He pitched me conceptually early on, and he even joked, let's do it together.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'll give you half my time. I thought, I'll build a founding team. This is a great milestone. I'm a millennial. This is amazing. And so I got permission to spend half my time working with just him.
Yeah.
And I loved working with him so much, and the feedback that we got from the market seemed so strong that I turned to my team at Hanaco and I said, I'm going to be doing this with him.
Yeah.
So it kind of came about. It wasn't my intention. I was open-minded to it,
Right.
but it wasn't my goal to evaluate it for myself.
Yeah.
And this was months after having my first child. There was nothing convenient about doing this at that time.
Right. You're leaving sort of the safety of a VC job and going into the total unknown of a startup.
Yes.
Okay. So he comes to you. When does Abraham come in?
Abraham came in alongside William. He was workshopping it with him. Abraham wasn't sure what he was going to be doing, and then the 3 of us got into a groove.
Yeah. And so in this group, so he pitches you on the idea, essentially. He's like, this is the idea.
Yeah. So the idea initially was William had successfully started and sold an e-commerce brand. He also did a cyber company, 2 very different things. But in the e-commerce brand, he was so attracted to it. So many of his friends were in e-com. And I was also attracted to it. At Hanaco, we did a number of e-commerce infrastructure investments. Yeah,
So not on the brand side. but
correct, not on the brand
logistics,
side.
operations.
Software tools for them to use.
Yeah.
So I also had that orientation towards it. And a lot of our mutual friends of William and I started and scaled brands and tools.
Okay.
So e-com seemed very tangible to us. It wasn't foreign to me, at least.
Yeah.
And to William, a Renaissance man, I find nothing's foreign.
By the way,
to
I
him.
wonder if he had come to you with a cyber idea, if he would have been like, I'll help you find the founding team, but it's not me.
Yeah, I think I would have felt less capable to have done it.
Right.
In any event, so the idea that he had came from, he was running an adult diaper and incontinence brand.
Okay.
And he found that when refunds would occur, it would create a ton of friction between the shopper and the brand, because the shopper wants to know, oh, you approved my refund. Where is my money?
Right.
It was pretty opaque. There was no.
It doesn't just go back to the credit card?
It does, but when?
Right.
And how do you
most
know
stores
if
tell
it
you
does?
it'll take up to 2 weeks or something to go back to your card. Right.
Some
Okay.
opaque number.
Right.
And whether you're very financially principled or just out of budget necessity, you just really want to know when you have that money again.
Yeah.
People didn't.
Yep.
And also, this is 2021. Payments was this awesome category to be in. And what we found is refunds happen all the time. They could occur due to returns or because of shipping a delay, canceled order, out of stock, quality, etc.
Yeah.
They happen all the time. And they led to a number of issues, which is chargebacks. Like maybe they wait a day, they see they didn't get their refund, so they just hit the chargeback button and
So you're
claim it's
paying double,
fraud.
essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or the shopper complains, writes bad reviews, whatever it is.
Yeah.
we just found this massive payments category
Yeah.
with no solutions. And if you just Google it, everyone says how opaque it was. So we thought, well, this is a 2021 signal of what an amazing payments category. And so we started there with let's just let shoppers choose a refund method of their choice, pushing it to their e-wallet, Venmo.
So instead of having to wait, it's like you can get it more immediately.
Yeah, you could just push it to Venmo right now, and you get to keep your credit card points from the pay-in.
It seems like an obvious thing that a shopper would love.
Sure, or for the brand, juice up site credit as a refund payout value. So rather than getting $2 back to your credit card or $2 to Venmo,
$4 on
take $4 and keep it to the
By the
store.
way, just put your headphone and make sure, like, when you're talking, it sounds just for a second as you're going. Yeah, give it a shot.
Hello. Yeah, it sounds clear.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. Do you want me to?
No, you can
this
take them
on?
off now.
Okay,
Just wanted
great.
to make sure. Maybe we'll even keep that in, just so the growing pains of a startup, warts and all.
So that's where we came from, is to provide shoppers alternative refund methods. And if we were to push money to these alternative refund methods, those e-wallets would pay us for sending money their way. Kind of like
Venmo might compensate you. Exactly.
Sure. So kind of like you have affiliate marketing, which is if you send someone somewhere and they do something good, you get a piece for it.
Yep.
This was affiliate dollars.
Yep.
And that was the concept on day one.
Okay.
And we fell in love with the idea, and we did founder-led validation, which is we'd speak with passion to prospects and friends.
Yeah. Prospects being brands, essentially.
Yeah, this would be a software tool that brands would use to decrease the amount of refunds that get paid out, and when paid out, to make it a better experience.
Did you sit on top of anything to make integration easier?
Shopify. This was a Shopify tool.
Okay.
In every way.
Okay.
Not exclusively.
Was it intended to be, or that's just where most brands are, and that's where you can hook in the easiest?
Both. We wanted not to only be on Shopify, but regardless, it would have been a majority of our volume. I always think if someone's an e-com and they say, no, it's only 50% Shopify, you're still platform existentially screwed.
Right.
So we kind of embraced Shopify on day one.
Yeah.
Also,
Well, it sounds like there's not really an alternative, right? Like if you want to get
Correct.
broad distribution or broad ability for distribution.
Correct. If you want broad distribution, well, if you're doing something product-led, WooCommerce is actually larger by terms of number of stores.
Okay. Yeah.
But those stores...
I say that, by the way, knowing very little about e-commerce, so thank you for educating me.
Sure. Yeah, so there's a number of platforms you could build on. Salesforce and Magento are for like kind of the old school largest enterprises.
Okay.
Shopify now has got the full spectrum. BigCommerce tends to orient a bit more B2B and is just smaller. It's not so big.
Okay.
And then
like meaning smaller brands?
Yeah, less large than the Shopify enterprise class.
I like that Oren just corrected me and say, smaller equals less large. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like, yeah. No, firstly, I'm happy to be here to help. And then for WooCommerce, that tends to be even more long tail.
Okay.
And theoretically Wix, but not so relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So we played with both Shopify and not Shopify. Is great because it's a homogeneous infrastructure. It's very efficient distribution. Their app store makes onboarding the same for everyone. There's a big social community around it. So that's where
a
we
lot of
flocked.
advantages of starting there.
And when we went, we just spoke with so much passion to people.
Yeah.
I think people were afraid to rain on our parade. And so
I know exactly what you mean.
Everyone said, oh, this is a great tool. We'd use it. And
Yeah.
we said, okay, great, successful call. Can I include you in my deck as a design
Reminds
partner?
me when I was first going out for draft board, I'd be like, I built this amazing thing, like, don't you want to use it? I mean, obviously not exactly
Right.
paraphrasing. And
Yeah.
it'd be like, yeah, sure, I guess. And I took that as a positive signal.
Right. No, we went in.
That's foreshadowing for those of you out there who don't get it.
Yeah. I think people want to contribute to a founder's journey.
Yeah.
And I think they want to give positive energy towards it.
Yes.
I think it's hard to say to someone, I don't think this is great. And also,
It's not just in founders, by the way. I think it's in life. People are very hesitant to rain on someone's parade,
sure.
right?
Yeah, I think so, generally. But I think
If
especially...
I ask Oren, like, do I look good today? He's not going to say, no, you look like crap. He's going to say, you look great.
Especially when we're recorded. But but I think but with founders too, you want to like be a part of that journey and that magic.
Right, it's like the founder story.
Exactly.
Do you think there's an element also of potential FOMO from the person you're talking to? Like if I say it's a bad idea and then it ends up being like the biggest thing since sliced bread, then I'll be the one that like poo-pooed it. And so I don't want to poo-poo it. Like maybe it is a big thing and I just don't see it, but I might as well just,
So, I can't speak for other people, but I think for myself, I don't think people will think that far ahead necessarily.
right.
Like that's like
In the moment, they're not.
risk-averse
Okay,
long-term
fair.
thinking. I can't relate to that in the same way.
Yeah.
But so that was kind of our validation.
Yeah.
On
Sorry,
William and I
another question.
intuited this would be a great idea,
Yeah.
and then we just went to other people,
and they were enthused by your enthusiasm.
exactly.
Okay, but I have a question. You have other friends in VC, I assume.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that was the same response you got from them, or did they have a different take?
Yeah, I think that was the same response. Big payments category, e-commerce tools were considered quote unquote hot at that time.
Yeah.
I tried not to get so much validation from the investors because we wanted to hear it from brands who
Right.
felt quite accessible.
Right.
But coming from VC, I may have overemphasized what their perspective on a business model was. So the bottom line is between brands, friends, mentors, and other people in venture,
Right.
it just felt like we were swimming in positive feedback. And we were able to quickly raise, which also felt like validation,
Right.
maybe on
Totally.
the fundraising ability, but not on the business model. But
Wait,
we,
so give me timeline now. So when does William come to you with the idea, and when do you
February 2021.
say, okay, and then you say you're joining the founding team when?
By March, I'm a full-time
Oh,
co-founder.
quick. Okay, great.
We raise in May, and we get the money in June.
Okay, so everything happened relatively fast. I don't know if it felt fast at the time, but relatively fast.
Yeah, it did feel fast.
Okay, got it. So February to June, essentially.
Yeah,
Okay, so at this point, it's three of you,
correct.
and William is an engineer.
William CTO, Abraham COO. He's based in New York, and I'm the CEO based here in Tel Aviv. We recruit a bunch of developers out here in Israel. We raise about $10 million.
In one tranche, or
yeah.
Okay, wow.
Most of it was in the first tranche, and then we were fortunate that we were swimming in demand, so we took a bunch of it in a safe
Got it.
towards the next round.
Got it.
Like right
so
away.
That's unusual in and of itself, but probably less unusual because William's a second or third time founder, right? I'm sure that helps
Yeah.
with the story when you're going to VCs.
We had a great profile for fundraising.
You're a VC, he's a multiple
we told
time
a good
founder.
story.
Yeah. Big category.
Big category, and we all like believed it to be a truth. And we were very fortunate that you had your first generation of e-commerce infrastructure tools in Israel that exited. So we were able to
Like
get
what?
folks from Wix and Riskified. So this initial core team just led to more momentum.
They had domain knowledge.
Yeah, they did. These are people who really understood it.
Yeah.
And we were able to assemble the team pretty quickly, put together an MVP, and we released our product. We did founder-led sales. We got hundreds of brands using the product.
Wait, before you're fast forwarding too far ahead.
Sure.
I want to break it down a little bit.
Yeah.
When do you launch your MVP? Like when did your first product go to market?
Summer, end of the summer.
So really, so June to August, essentially, you guys launch a product.
Yes.
I mean, I know you're probably William's probably building. You guys are probably building beforehand, but
yeah.
okay.
And again, in the beginning, we had few refund payout options. We would build out the integrations to have like a paywall with a garden of options versus one or two.
Right.
But
What did you
initially,
start with?
the original payment method, of course.
Okay, but just faster than would have happened otherwise.
No, status quo. That was easy to build.
Oh.
Number two was a site credit.
Okay.
We had donation as a quick option.
Yep.
And then we also had get an instant refund on like a prepaid digital card. Those
Okay.
were the first four.
Okay.
We'll have you know that having processed hundreds of thousands of refunds with the donation option, extremely unpopular, well below 0.1%. In the privacy and even with small pennies or small dollars,
Yeah.
not a popular choice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder. I don't even know if you have enough transactions to say, oh, at this dollar amount, it's way more popular. Like at 10 cents, it's way more popular than $10.
Perhaps we knew at one
Right.
point, but definitely not now.
Okay. And so you launched these. What was the initial response from brands now that you actually had a product? So you sort of got them
Yeah.
enthusiastic and excited about it based on your pitching them a few months before.
Yeah.
Now you actually have a product in hand. Are they as enthusiastic? What is that? What is the initial reaction?
So the initial customers, it was pure founder-led sales. This wasn't product-led. This wasn't marketing-led.
You're
This was the
figuring out-
mutual introductions, hustling.
Yeah.
So these will naturally, with very few proof points, just intuition, maybe this will work for you. So naturally, these are more entrepreneurial brands who are willing to test new things, especially on this like neglected category.
Yeah.
So that would either lead to people who had a ton of refunds, who wanted to decrease the amount of refunds. Again, for the brand, while they're happy to have a better experience, their main value prop is I want to refund less.
Right. That was going to be my next question. What is your pitch about? What is this? What KPI are you saying is going to improve for?
Refund less refunds. This, whatever percentage of shoppers who choose site credit, that's more money that you get to keep.
So you distinguish. It's funny. Like I wouldn't have made that distinction semantically between refunds and site credit, but clearly it is a very important distinction.
Yeah.
Okay.
We use those synonymously, which is the alternative is you lose money or you keep it on site credit or a gift card, whether or not it will be used and
Still
if
in your
used.
system, right?
Or if you know which shoppers have site credit, you can retarget them in a different way, faster lifetime value, a faster second purchase, etc.
Yep.
So it's not just that you lose less money, but you can gain more faster.
Got it.
Um,
And so these
and-
entrepreneurial guys are like, cool, we'll give it a shot, essentially.
Yeah. Or it's people that we knew. So they were like well receptive to us. And anything that we did, because beforehand they were just losing money on refunds 100% of the time. So
Give me some context. Like how important, how big of a problem are refunds for these kind of brands? Like 20% of revenue, 2% of revenue, or profit? Like,
it depends massively on the category that you're in.
okay.
So if you are in flowers, for example,
Mm-hmm.
there's a huge quality assurance issue with flowers. If you're buying it for someone, it may be very time sensitive.
Yep.
So you might care about the delivery window. If you miss the anniversary day or before we went out for anniversary
you didn't
dinner,
do it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a very underrated category where, or let's say you're a marketplace like a 1-800-Flowers, who it's third-party flowers fulfillment.
Right.
So for there, it just could be a ton of out of stock, so canceled orders.
Yep.
Right. So you could see in flowers, it could be 20 to 30% of all revenue gets refunded.
Wow.
Or if you think about food or anything that's temperature
Perishable
controlled,
stuff, essentially.
or anything fragile that gets shipped. Right. And of course, naturally,
So it's
clothing
really important, and that's of revenue.
for some categories.
Right, for some categories.
For
But
some
then
categories.
as a percentage of profit, is way higher as a percentage of profit. So every
Correct.
percent you can shave off of refunds, it could be 5 percentage points or something like that of profit.
Correct.
Right.
And then naturally, also refunds certainly occur due to returns.
Yeah.
This was just as returns was getting very innovative at the time to try and reduce return rates, and return rates are ultimately refund rates.
Yep.
Although there's costs associated with returning the package, leaving that aside.
Yeah.
We actually ran into, are we a returns tool? No, we're a refunds tool. What happens after returns? But naturally, a lot of categories are very heavy on returns.
Okay.
So we had, we would integrate with some of the returns tools, but more so we were for
What's a return tool? I don't know that category at all. Like, what? Give me an example.
Returnly, Loop, Narvar,
Okay. Companies I've
Return
never
to
heard
Go,
of,
the Israeli one. There's a bunch of these now.
Yeah.
But we had most product market fit for non-return issued refunds.
Non-return. Got it. Okay.
So a complaint, shipping delay, out of order,
Like
cancel
the flowers.
stock.
Flowers.
Yeah,
You're not going to return it, but
Yeah.
you want a refund for it.
exactly.
Okay.
That's where we had the most product market fit, and it was going well. We were satisfied. I wouldn't say ecstatic, but we were satisfied with our growth.
And were the brands happy? I presume so, right?
The brands were happy primarily because the control that we were A/B testing against was 100%.
Was bad.
Exactly. So
It couldn't really get worse.
the value that we were bringing could have been very incremental.
Right.
But in e-commerce, it can be very quick to deploy tools because of again, Shopify uniquely, it's very easy to put it up. They're all about incremental gains. You're the asymptote towards improvement, where it's not like this RFP where you need to drive a KPI of this.
Yep.
Also, these are much more owner-operated, I won't say casual, but like less systematic brands in terms of how they, or for many of the brands,
Right.
in terms of how they prioritize what they want to
Well, that's
deploy
what
next.
the whole roll-up, the whole FBA roll-up stuff, right?
Correct.
That people said
could
these brands
professionalize.
aren't
Yeah.
optimized or aren't run efficiently. That kind of blew up. But
Yeah.
the thesis, I think, probably still holds true.
Yes. So for us, we were just able to provide value where there was nothing before. Sometimes it was a lot. Sometimes it was little.
What was the hurdle for someone to integrate you? Was there? How did you price it? What was? I guess the integration was quick because it was on Shopify. They're on Shopify. Like you click
Yeah.
a button essentially.
We would take a percent. Yeah, it was pretty quick to deploy. You would need to teach your customer service team for manually issued refunds to press a new refund button.
Okay.
It would add a new refund customer journey.
Yep.
It was expanding the customer journey.
So it was a little bit
I
of like
haven't
work.
thought about this for 2 years. There was a workflow at times with the CX team.
But it sounds like there wasn't so many hurdles. Like it wasn't so. This is a big integration process.
No, it was not a big integration process. It was a workflow
Meaning,
thing.
what I'm trying to get at is people could test relatively quickly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
The product.
people could test it the day of.
Right.
And that's part of the power of Shopify versus some of the other platforms.
And you charged SaaS fee or a percentage of returns? How did you do that?
We did a few. We were able to charge a percentage of the site credit issued.
Mm-hmm.
So we had an aligned incentive with the retailer.
Move people to site credit.
Exactly. So they would give us 10, even 20% of the site credit value.
Yep.
We were able to enjoy monetization on the other alternative refund methods. So if you push it to PayPal or Venmo,
Right.
historically, I think it's not relevant anymore.
Yeah.
You could get a piece or for e-wallets like them.
Reminds
if I
me of
recall
like
correctly.
some of like I don't know much about this, but the stock exchanges would like pay for volume essentially. Like
Oh, the same thing. If like places like Robinhood were like
Right.
list Robinhood as a payout option, and if someone creates an account, we'll give you dozens of dollars.
right.
But people most often wouldn't want to say, I got this refund because my flowers weren't great. Now I want to open a
Go
new
get
stock
them on
account.
Robinhood, yeah.
Exactly. But if you had a Robinhood account, then it was interesting for them.
Yeah.
Or even like to send it to Uber and the like. So we made money on alternative refund methods,
Yeah.
which will include site credit. We called them ARMs, ARM. We loved ARMs. Every ARM was
Alternative refund
monetization
methods.
for us.
Yeah.
And I think we did not charge a SaaS fee.
Do you have any sense for how the consumer user reacted to it? Did they like it? Did they not like? Like, do you have any sense for?
Yeah. It was a mixed bag. Firstly, it was introducing a new step,
Yeah.
which is a non-aligned business model, because for the brand, they would enjoy the opportunity to ask, are you sure you want to get a refund?
Right.
You sure you don't want to take site credit?
Yeah.
So that friction could have benefited the retailer. And for the shopper who just wanted the original payment method, you had to go through more steps to get there. But I believe that we were creating more value for shoppers, because for those who wanted or didn't know that
You
they
get
could
double
get,
the amount in site credit, and maybe
you
that's
could
valuable
get,
to you. And
or
if
you
you
can
don't,
get your refund faster.
right. Well, and if not, you just click the next button or click the cancel button. You click get a refund.
And that made a lot of sense with the returns flow, because naturally you're going through a semi
There's
or
always a
completely
flow.
self-serve funnel.
Yeah.
But if you just spoke to CX
Customer
about
support.
customer support about quality assurance, then they say, "Oh, press this link to choose your refunds." Like, no, let me choose here.
Right.
So there was that time friction, but it was economic friction. It was
Okay.
to the benefit of the brand, and we increased dollar savings opportunities for shoppers, but not everyone viewed it as worthwhile.
Okay. So sounds like business is going well. Team
Yeah.
is functioning. By this point, how many people are on the team? Or like, what did you get to?
20?
20. You're feeling. You said good about it, not ecstatic, but good. You got
We felt
100
good.
brands, right?
It depends what the definition of good is. Why is it that we were feeling good? One, we were living the dream. We were doing it. We built a team, fun
Right.
office, great life.
Well, you're generating revenue. It sounds like you're on a growth trajectory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the
You
above.
feel like probably you can raise another round of funding if you need it.
We had a lot of options for that. We
Right.
had offers for Series A's within 3 to 6 months of
Preemptive.
launching. Yeah.
Yeah.
And these were from firms that we would have felt proud, at least I as a former
Yeah.
venture capitalist would have felt very proud to have
Right.
their attention.
So,
their interest.
I guess I would define good as that.
Yeah. Those were some of the reasons why we were feeling good. And our revenues were growing.
Right.
And then,
Okay. Dun dun dun. If I have
and-
like a
yeah.
so what
By
happened?
the I'm waiting for your montage of the end then, of everyone saying, like, what's the word where they transition from the romance before, the pivot.
Right. Well, I think because I happen to know a little bit of the story. In your case, it's much more dramatic than many other companies.
Yeah.
Like the last interview I did with Gilad at Sequence, you'll hear it when you listen to it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you'll listen to that episode. It's a different story, right? It's things things were going okay, but then one day we looked in and we're like, wait, are things going okay? And
Yeah.
like it had sort of been growing in the back of their minds, and then this sort of like, wait, we should really reassess. With you, I know is a little bit different.
Yeah, so there was a discussion on, are we doing well?
There
what
was.
a discussion, because for me, our revenues were up. The way that we were creating demand wasn't, it was really just founder led, so it wasn't compounding in value yet. After our pivot, we figured out a great way to grow.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't have a repeatable engine for doing.
No, this was
for
just
getting
like,
sales.
who are we able to get mutual intros to? Essentially, we were the BDRs, but we weren't growing the BDR team or the BDR playbook.
Right,
And
right.
it was just mutual introduction, so not even cold BDRs.
Yep.
So that's number one. William, who I think had a perspective of greater patience, having been through startups before and has enjoyed some success, he was getting very first principle-y, well, are we really creating enough value for the shopper and for the brands?
So even though, and this is, by the way, that's great. I love to hear that. Even though, from a business perspective, you're growing, you're getting offers
Yeah.
preemptive for investment, things are feeling good. William is sort of forcing you guys to still stay true to like, is this providing a benefit to society or to our customers, both the users and the customers?
I don't think it was altruistic. Is it?
No, not
creating-
altruistic, but benefit to the. Sorry, I didn't mean to society. I meant
It's okay.
to our users and our customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was questioning, was it good enough?
Yeah.
And then for Abraham, he wanted us to have more and more refund options. He was like, we're going to be this massive payouts company that starts with refunds.
Yep.
He had the romance on that. And then as we were growing through Shopify then released their own e-wallet, which was rumored to come out for a while, called ShopPay. It's actually a phenomenal product.
So you knew that it was coming out, or
We knew it was going to come out at some point.
and that it was going to compete directly, or I don't even know if it did, but
After it came out, we were pushing refunds to other e-wallets. And then Shopify released their own e-wallet.
Okay.
And they made, I think it was Shopify app rule number 13 or 14. Yeah, alternative refund methods are forbidden. And we
so
said,
all of your arms.
Our entire business, all of our arms were chopped off, and we were an arm company. So
Wow, what a great metaphor.
yeah, it feels good. So literally overnight, our entire business model.
That's going in the trailer, by the way.
Yeah, our entire business model was rendered obsolete. If you were to ask William, it was great.
Wait, sorry.
Yeah.
I just want to dig into that. So all of your arms are chopped off, meaning you can't do credit anymore,
You can credit.
but you can't do Venmo, you can't do PayPal.
We can't do any of the refund methods that we had or were planning to do.
You can't do like back to credit card even, or
Of course you can.
Okay,
But
so-
that's I guess it's a good question. What is an alternative refund method?
Yeah.
Not the original payment method and not site credit,
Got it.
aka gift card
So Abraham's vision dead in the water.
for Shopify.
Yeah, dead in the he can't if you're going to stay on Shopify.
Yeah, so long as
platform.
we called it an arm, right? Like there was a question, can we mask this? But then that's not going to be sustainable growth on the platform that we have essentially exclusive.
Right. And you had a good relationship with them, right?
Yeah, we felt like we had a great relationship with them. Like I don't think they did anything. They told us in 11 months we're going to turn off your app.
Okay, so that's I think
They
incredible.
were gracious. They were gracious.
So they launched the app and they call you and tell you that, or before they launched ShopPay, they said we're launching this.
After they released ShopPay and
Yeah.
then they released this new app rule, they then reached out to us to say there in a certain amount of time we will not you will be in off-label usage. We won't support your use case.
And that was that because of the Rule 13 or 14, whatever. it
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
Right. So they were like, you can
Low teens, yeah.
operate for now for the short term,
Yeah.
the way you've been operating, but we're going to start enforcing that.
I thought it was gracious of them.
Right. No, it sounds. Look, as Apple loves to Sherlock companies. In fact, they coined the term,
Yeah.
or people coined it because of Apple, and not give them any notice. And so a company coming to a year beforehand and saying, the rules are published. We're not going to enforce them yet, but they're going to be enforced. And so, okay.
But
so-
our destiny was chosen for us that it will be different. If you were to ask William, this is a good thing, so we could do something else. I was still holding on. The refund thing was working. We had all this interest.
But William already was kind of like, is this the right thing to be building?
Correct.
Right.
And Abraham was, refunds are just a means to an end
Right.
for greater payouts.
Right. Tell me about the moment you saw Rule 13 or 14, whatever it was. When you read it, or when you first came of it. Was
Yeah.
it just like did it pit in your stomach, like stomach drop?
It was a total bummer. It was just like a reminder you have the endogenous and exogenous variables, the things you can control and the things that you can't.
Totally.
But we were upset briefly, but this was platform risk materialized.
Yeah.
We were on Shopify. We knew this could happen, and it totally did. We romanticized maybe they just buy us, do this functionality, or
Right.
we'll have enough scale by then, or we can have influence. But platform risk is platform risk. Like, we can't be upset. In the moment, I think we were, but pretty quickly it was, okay, so what do we do next? It wasn't, I don't think we spent too much time primarily just sitting around and crying. It was, what do we do with this?
What did you consider at that point? Was the option of shutting down the company on the table?
So firstly, everything was on the table. When we raised,
Sorry, before we even get to that, wait. You have a team of 20.
yeah.
Everyone saw this announcement.
What
What do you say to them?
Yeah.
What did you say to them? How did you handle that? I'm making you think. I like this.
Yeah. I haven't thought about this for a while. I thought I went through therapy already, but we're back. Okay, firstly, we told our spouses. That was the first thing, and our partners. That was number one. Number two, we told 2 or 3 of our investors who we're closest with before we did some like formal email
Good
notice.
question. Great. Okay. You called them. You emailed them. If you remember.
I think we texted and then we did phone calls.
Okay.
And then we spoke with them about how they suggest we tell the team.
Yeah.
I think we first told some of management,
Yeah.
like folks who were managing people. And we're 20 people. There's not layers.
There's probably
but-
5 or 6 people.
Yeah, exactly. And then we told the broader team. We wanted to do that with the managers having been in the loop and can be places that speak with clarity
Yeah.
instead of them all finding out together.
Yeah. So you did it in smaller groups.
Within 3 days, we told the team.
Yeah, I feel like you have to.
Yeah,
Because everyone sees the announcement and they're probably wondering.
it wasn't like a big deal, right? Like, it was to us, but
Oh, you mean this added rule? Not everyone necessarily would have noticed it.
I don't know how often you monitor.
So when I was running a company that built apps for the App Store, every time there was a big update to the App
Right.
Store, I would monitor it. But you're right. We had
So this wasn't part
500 people and only 20 people.
To the
cared.
best of my knowledge, this wasn't part of like Shopify's winter releases. Here's this new rule for the App Store. I think it was more casual than that.
Got it.
I don't think it was delivered or being monitored in the same way that you described.
Right.
And so when we told the team, I think we told them, then we can get through how we told the managers and the investors. We told them we showed how much money we had in the bank. We showed how much money we were burning each month.
Yep.
We showed how much runway we had. And we said we were very big on calling everyone who joined us part of the founding team.
Yep.
This was the founding team never ended, essentially,
Right.
Which is both good and bad, which we could get into. But it was helpful in that moment to say, this is what you signed up for.
Right. You're a founder.
Yeah, you're a part of this.
Yep.
And like, we're very fortunate that we received a lot of capital that people will invest for our whole crew to figure out what to do next. And we spoke about that we would do an inclusive pivot process, which I don't know if we want to get into that now or break down how we told investors or the managers still, but
Save that for a couple minutes from now.
but ultimately that is what we told the team is we have this much money, you will get paid, we will figure it out. And you can be a part of that process if you choose.
I think that's critical. When people are in the situation where they think where they know something's changing,
Right.
and there's no messaging from leadership about what's going to happen, positive or negative. Even if you tell them, hey, you're going to lose your job, it's way better than them just being in this limbo state of, am I going to lose my job or am I not going to lose my job?
Yeah.
I think it's really important early on to get in front of them.
But to answer your previous question, we did not consider shutting down the company or returning the capital.
Yeah, so even though it was theoretically part of the consideration set,
We had an amazing team. We had so much money left still.
So how much runway in years or months did you have, roughly?
Multiple years.
Okay.
Certainly more than 2.
Got it.
I think. Certainly more than 2. I think certainly. To the best of my knowledge, we had more than 2 years of runway.
62% is your
Yeah.
confidence level.
It's going down each and every minute. But that is what we had. So no one needs to worry about their paycheck and supporting their families.
Yep.
Um,
Did you have people who reacted as, hey, you know what? I signed up to do this, X, Y, Z.
no,
I'm not.
I was super proud. We had no one quit.
Right.
We had no one quit as a result of the pivot.
Okay. Awesome.
No layoffs as a result of it either.
I think that's a testament to your guys' leadership, that people believed in you.
And cash in the bank.
That's true. I don't want to underplay that.
Yeah.
But you can definitely have people leave when you have cash in the bank if they signed up for a particular vision. Maybe
Totally.
it could have been someone who was more like Abraham and like, this is a larger vision, platform into payments. And then they're like, well, I don't know what we're going to do next. It may not even be payments. Therefore,
Totally.
I'm out.
No, I think a big part of the recruiting is
By the way, I'm sure Abraham's great. I'm not trying to shit on him. I just
well, Abraham's not good. No, I'm kidding. Abraham's magical. But
never met him, but I assume
Yeah.
he's great.
he's fine. No. We one of the things that we said is you can have an impact outside of your role here. You want to be a part of planning like the Yom Kaf, like the days off when we do the company parties together.
Yep.
Do you want to be a part of
In this interim period, you're saying?
No, from day one we said
from the beginning.
company values. I'm a first-time founder. Do you want to work with me on the values? One of our engineers led what our company values exercise.
Yep.
You've been a part of management or bigger teams before. How do we want to do recruiting and onboarding?
Right.
We had, again, also we were primarily engineers. That's something that they wanted to take on. Someone really wants to do company swag.
Yeah.
Okay, great. You're in charge of company swag. Not a big
Should have
deal.
Someone like that.
And so we said that if you want to go to a company to just do your work, you can get that here, but you're probably going to want to come here to do something outside of your job description.
Right.
And so that led to a self-selecting group. Also, a lot of these people worked together before, either in the Army or at Riskified. We had a lot of We have a big Riskified team.
Yeah.
We still do now at Postscript, a big Riskified alumni crew. They wanted to be together a lot. They really wanted to.
Right. There's a camaraderie that develops after spending years together.
Yeah. Although we were always big on saying this is not a family.
I totally agree with that.
Yes.
But camaraderie is different than a family, right?
Yeah. One of our company values, company value number 1, was we will buy an island. Like we are here to achieve success. And I think people appreciated that capitalist transparency.
Right. Transparent. We're not a family. We're here to buy an island. Like it's, it creates aligned incentives and aligned sort of mindset also amongst the group. Okay, so that's how you dealt with employees. You talked a little bit about investors. So three bigger ones, I assume. It sounds like you texted them and they got on a call with them.
Yeah.
And what did you tell them? You say, we're going to figure this out? Did you say, we're not sure yet? What did you say?
We told them firstly the news was fresh.
Okay.
We let them know. We gave a screenshot from what I recall, we gave a screenshot of the email saying this is as of 3 hours ago, this is as of 12 hours ago.
And this is the email where Shopify says heads up? Or
Yeah.
Got it. This is not like when the rules are initially published.
I think it's
Very
one
close.
of the same.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Maybe there's a day in between, but I don't think so.
Got it.
And yeah, so we let everyone know. And what we told them is we will figure out something else to build. We were very clear on day one.
From the beginning.
Yeah.
And how did they react?
People appreciated the transparency from us to them. Most people said, how can we help?
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were comforted by the amount of money that we had in the bank.
Okay.
Nothing felt immediately existential, though in many respects it was. What then happened is we raised capital from a number of founders of successful private companies who said, oh, can we just buy you in the team? And this was
You had raised capital.
yes,
Okay.
founders from a bunch of private, valuable, unicorns.
So when you told them, they said, well, we're looking for 20 engineers.
Great, we'll just scoop you up. And this was really attractive to me at that moment. We didn't know what we were doing next.
This is like immediate, this is like right soon afterwards?
Yes. This was their response. Great,
So
we'll
this
take
is,
you.
Sorry, this is, give me timing now. So you started the company in 2021, mid 2021?
Yeah, this is early 22.
Okay, early 22. So VC market is just starting to melt.
It was, yeah, it melted.
Elon makes the offer for Twitter in March,
It
right?
melted.
So it's right around that.
It was melting as this was being said to us. Because for William and I, and for Abraham, it was, look, maybe it's not so bad. We park this somewhere. That could lead to some nice individual wins for us. It gives the team great runway. People say they want to open R&D centers in Israel. We could be that R&D team.
Right.
And then we'll run it back with this team in a few years.
Would that have made your investors whole? Would any of these deals?
There were structures that would have compensated the investors
Okay.
in a good way and in an upside way as well.
Okay. So these start coming in. It sounds like
Yeah, and this
left,
was,
right, and center. Maybe not 10 of them, but a few
and I'll
of them.
tell you, this distracted me.
Right.
I thought to myself, I didn't know what the pivot was.
Right.
This is not a bad year.
Like bird in the hand, two in the bush.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I pursued that. It was a new process for me. It was a solution in a box.
You know what it sounds like in the beginning? I don't even know if we got that on record, but you said at some point that you're very good at fundraising. I wonder if to you this paralleled fundraising in a way. Right?
Yes.
It's like a process. It's working.
Firstly, it was exotic and it was new.
Right.
It was inbound, so it felt natural, and it was convenient.
You also feel special, like, oh, they want to acquire what I built.
But it was so convenient.
Right.
We didn't have to pivot.
Right.
We'd be able to park the business in a good way.
Yep.
It was a convenient solution. And look, maybe now's not my time.
What did your two co-founders think about it? Was this like your project where they were like, we're working on, we're ideating. We're doing
Firstly,
other
we parallel tracked. There's
Okay.
no doubt we dual tracked it.
stuff? Okay. So you're talking to them while you're doing your pivot plan, which I want to get into
Oh
in a
my
second.
gosh, it was so hard to be all in on both of these at the same time.
I mean, you can't be all in on, but you have to. You at least you are distracted.
Right. Yeah. But also, I was just as committed to the pivot as well.
Right.
Ultimately, like you said,
It's like a company that's pursuing M&A at the same time as they're pursuing an IPO, right?
Sure.
It's like which is the better path, and we're
Yeah.
gonna do both, and it sucks to do both, but we'll figure out which one is the better path.
yeah. We received some offers. We even received like an LOI, but then, like you said, the venture market was melting. The tech market was melting, and these offers disappeared.
Really?
We had a verbal offer.
So let's say March. It sounds about March as this happens.
Yeah.
And then when did the offer? Like how soon after the offers appear do they disappear? I guess.
They appeared in 2 weeks, and they disappeared within 2 weeks.
Wow.
It was a lot. It was a lot of life that happened. Luckily, we weren't exclusively focusing on this.
Right. And you have lots of cash in the bank, so you weren't
A
dependent.
lot of cash in the bank, yeah.
Right.
But as those were becoming less real, we then leaned into the pivot.
Okay. Yeah. So talk to me
As
about
a joke,
the process.
Yeah. Will Abraham and I throughout this, if we had some other idea that would come up, not related to e-commerce, or even theoretically related to it in some capacity, we'd just like say, oh, we'll write this down in our brain because maybe this could be an X company, or for a friend who wants a business, we have some ideas.
Yeah.
So when it came time to pivot, we literally had
A list of ideas.
like a mental list of ideas.
You had never actually written them down though, or you had actually like had
Maybe in a WhatsApp group, like I have a friend starting a business, you have any ideas for them? So we would like sift through our communication to each other like an archaeologist. Like we'd find some gems because we were desperate. We were open to anything.
Right. Which is also a problem, right? Because when you're open to anything, you don't know what to focus on.
We had an orientation, which is we had a lot of brands. We had a whole team that liked e-commerce and fintech.
So that's good actually. So it wasn't everything. It was like, what assets do we have? That
But
can
we
make this more
also
successful?
considered anything. Like we immediately switch our we were drawn to something, but we immediately switch our company value to anything as possible. That may have already been in there, and then we added and put it at the top. Whatever. We redid our exercise of what we were doing, like the company value, mission, vision, etc. Maybe the vision or the mission became anything's possible. I don't know. In any event, after that, we would do like 3 layers of pivot brainstorming. One, we would do like mini Shark Tanks for the entire team. We'd bring in other founders and investors to join us once or twice a week for lunch or workshops, so it felt like an inclusive learning process. Number 2, on the management side, we'd evaluate some of those ideas or some that we brought on our own. And then when Will, Abraham, and I would just meet together, that's where it felt like we were like really sifting through this and really focusing.
Yeah.
I would say, unlike the first orientation of Fondue, which was a refund company, which was, here's an idea, let's bring it to the market.
Yeah.
We went a bit more fundamental the second time with a first principles approach. So what we were doing in parallel to just, what do you think is smart that we should build?
Yeah.
We asked e-commerce brands whom we had a lot of access to, because they were some of our customers or friends or investors. We asked them, what sucks? Just a classic, what are some of the biggest problems that you're facing?
Yep.
And they said a lot of problems that a lot of people were trying to solve. Returns are painful. Subscription is really painful. Facebook is expensive. And then we saw a lot of solutions there. We had a number of brands tell us that they hate coupon codes. And what we liked about this is, number 1, there was an emotional reaction. They used the word hate. It wasn't, this is annoying, but I hate coupon codes. And the other is you can measure it, how often coupon codes are used. So we asked them, why do they hate coupon codes? And they said they leak all over the internet. Rakuten Honey in retail may not inject them at checkout.
Yep.
The whole concept of a discount is you trade off margin for conversion.
Yep.
But if you're just distributing coupon codes, or if an affiliate says, here's my 10% off for this organically sourced skin cream, you might love the influencer. You might love that it's organically sourced. You might not care that it's 10% off. Anyways, these are D2C Shopify shoppers.
Right.
If they were primarily price sensitive, they're going to buy an inferior substitute on Amazon.
Right.
You're buying brand first.
You're having to sort of pay for that, even though they're more price insensitive.
And so as soon as we got to this coupon problem, then we thought, okay, this really has legs, because we didn't see a lot of solutions oriented for coupons.
But you didn't know what a solution was yet. You were just like, there's something here.
Yeah, we thought there's a there.
Yeah.
Also because we didn't see a lot of solutions there. We liked, what we loved about refunds.
Yeah, I mean, it's a grimy sector.
The coupon one. But what we really liked about the coupons, like refunds, is it was neglected. We liked that there was no competition. We were drawn to that.
Yep.
Which is good and bad, but we liked it.
Yep. So this is an idea that.
But we consider
But this is not something that someone pitched in. Is it something that someone pitched in one of these sessions?
No.
Or this is just you interviewing your customers.
This is just us interviewing brands. What's
pattern
next?
match. 3 or 4 people have said the same thing. Let's dig in on that.
We had a group of devs who like to build things for brands, and we had access to brands.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we did, besides exploring these offers to sell the company and to think about what should we be doing and managing the team, bringing people in, was just going to brands and asking them what sucks. Because that was one of our 2 assets.
Yeah.
Great builders and access to brands who buy a lot of tools.
Yep. Did you how long? First of all, how long did this process take until you zeroed in on what you're going to pivot to?
I think the process of zeroing in on what we wanted to pivot to took less than a quarter.
Okay. 2 to 3 months, something like that.
Sure, yeah, less than a quarter, yeah.
Well, that could be 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was close to a quarter, but we started building or ideating on what to be doing within the discount space within Shopify. pretty quickly, but not exclusively. It became exclusive within a quarter. Because we had a bunch of devs. We had to build stuff.
Well, so that's kind of what I'm getting at is, A, what was your communication with your investors during this 3-month period, let's say? And B, were you getting any feedback from them? Like,
Yeah.
hey guys, you got 20 people. Do you really need 20 people? You don't know what you're building yet.
We didn't get that yet because we told them give us a quarter.
Okay.
Also,
got it. You sort of set the expectations. Give us a quarter.
For the sake of investor satisfaction, for the sake of
I think that was smart, by the way.
for the sake of retention, we invited our investors to speak to the team about pivots
Yeah.
and to ideate with the team. We would host. We were open to ideas from anywhere. We would brainstorm with our investors.
Yep.
Our investor updates, I think, became weekly with,
Wow.
here's what we considered, here's how we validated it, here's why we said yes or no.
Yep.
Here's other companies we found in the space, maybe they're cool for you to invest in.
Yep.
Trying to solve some problem that we looked at.
Yep.
But everything was on the table.
Yep.
We were considering building banking solutions for nonprofits. We were considering starting an agency and like returning most of the capital to investors, and then we'd have some of that to work, and then they'd have some distributions. I mean, as 2020, we considered crypto, right? Like everything was on the table.
But it sounds like it was like
But we oriented towards payments in e-com, specifically Shopify.
within 3 months. Or
Yes.
3 months was when you had the specific idea.
From when we were told to pivot till
Yeah.
we said we are building a rebate, a coupon code alternative, that all took place within 90 days.
Okay, great. Okay, so
And maybe selling the company and then not selling the
right,
company.
right. All of that. That's a lot. That's a ton to happen.
It's a lot of life. Yeah.
So you come with this idea. How did you validate it? This differently maybe than you did the first idea.
Well, first we were trying to validate the problem. We were trying to quantify what the discount problem was, what the coupon code problem was, how prevalent is it. We asked brands, how often do you discount? They didn't even know what percentage of purchases were discounted or from where.
Right.
There's still a lot to do
So
in
they
the
know it's a
discount space.
problem, but they actually don't know how to quantify it.
Correct. They don't even, like even within their dashboard, it's not a often used view of what percentage of transactions are discounted, but what's the difference between a markdown and a coupon or a bundle or subscription and save, or which coupon code gets used and abused, which coupon code has leaked,
Right.
which influencer has the most coupon, which discount code from
Right.
6 years ago, Black Friday, is still
coming back,
available
right,
online
right.
and is still active.
Right.
And you had there was so much to do there. But the whole concept of a coupon code is bizarre. I remember, wow, going back to when we did the pivot.
Yeah.
So someone who's considered the founder of coupons is this guy who bought Coca-Cola. And the way that he was able to get distribution on it is he offered 5 cents off the purchase if you present the coupon at the store.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry. He offered a free Coke to someone who'd bring it to the store. He was giving away soda. And this is before Coca-Cola was a brand name.
Yeah.
And there were strict rules with this coupon. You had to bring the papers. Think about it. You see it in an advertisement. You don't know what it is, Coca-Cola. You have to, in some way, cut it out, keep it in your pocket or your purse, go to the store, and remember to present it. So it's really the self-selecting group who'd go through this funnel.
Right. All right. And now we're in a world where anyone and everyone just uses a coupon here and there. Is that kind of where you're going?
It's not even the person uses a coupon. It gets injected
Right.
with a Chrome extension from
Right.
your bank, Capital One Savings.
And you think, or Honey, and you think Honey is doing all this stuff. You don't even know they're using a coupon code, and then all of a sudden
Exactly.
you get cash back, right?
So the whole idea is that you will discount to lubricate conversion.
Yep.
But now you're converting the same
At a lower price.
at a lower price.
Yeah.
So coupons are broken.
Yep.
So then we said, what else can we do? And we looked up traditional retail discount alternatives,
Yep.
and we saw rebates. If you recall what rebates were primarily used for back in like Y2K, is you'd make a full price purchase from of a manufacturer's product at a retailer like Best Buy.
Oh, right. And then they would manufacturer's rebate, right?
Cut out the barcode, keep the receipt, mail it in, and then you get a manufacturer retroactive discount. So although it's $1,000 for this washing machine, it's really only going to cost me $900 because I'm going to do the rebate.
Right.
And a lot of people didn't.
Right.
Because it's super high friction. Cut out
But it was a
barcode.
great marketing tool for them.
Correct. And those rebates, in many respects, like went away, but a lot of them are still there. It's very common for high intent, high consideration purchases. So think a lot about home goods or home appliances. Most of the things you can buy in Best Buy, you can get a manufacturer a rebate still. And there are huge companies that are rebate program managers. And so we thought rebates still work and exist, especially on categories that you can buy on Shopify.
Yeah.
but they're not available a closed loop rebate.
Yeah.
Closed loop rebate is you are able to get a discount back from the brand,
Okay.
back from the retailer.
Okay.
And in Shopify, again, the retailer is the manufacturer.
Yep.
It's different than Best Buy selling an
Distributing
Icon
some
camera.
higher Icon
Exactly.
camera,
And so we thought, but can we make a less bad process so you don't need to cut out the barcode and keep the receipt? Can we have a digital rebate redemption process?
Right.
So we found
And
a lot.
that would solve the coupon problem?
Yes.
Or maybe tell me how that solves the coupon problem.
The way that would solve the coupon problem is essentially their self-selection post-purchase. Meaning for those who desire the savings, they go through the funnel.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't go through the funnel, you don't discount to anymore.
You give them a rebate. You offer them a rebate.
Right.
Right.
And if the shopper doesn't claim it, they're just not price sensitive.
Right.
So instead of you deciding for the shopper, it's 10% off for everyone, or here's a coupon code.
People are self-selecting.
This is like
funnel.
pure capitalism, libertarianism
Right.
at its finest, which is for those who desire savings, they will press buttons. For those who don't desire savings, don't lose money on them for no reason.
Right.
You're not doing them or you a service
Yep.
because they're not price sensitive.
Right.
It's not a part of their decision making.
Yep.
You are hurting your business because you don't understand how to discount intelligently.
You're just not being smart about who you offer the incentive.
And instead of trying to create a rule-based engine or use AI, like choice.
Let the user tell you by their actions.
And
Yeah.
because many shoppers wouldn't claim the rebate, and then we had the feature, if you did go through the funnel to claim your retroactive discount, aka rebate, you could either claim it as cash or at a greater value of site credit.
Right.
And between the many shoppers who'd select nothing and the many shoppers who take a site credit, aka gift card, you are only discounting
Right.
about 30% of the time compared to
Right.
where you were. So you were able to increase savings opportunities. So instead of doing 10% off
Right.
and
You're
losing
effectively-
10% off
right.
always, you could do 20% back, but it only gets claimed that way a third of the time.
Right.
And a third of 20 is always less than 10% always.
Right.
So then what you're able to do is you could list, here's a 20% savings opportunity instead of 10% off. And you're increasing savings for shoppers,
Right.
but only for those who care,
For those who care.
as opposed to...
Right.
know-
You get the marketing benefit of 20% off.
Exactly.
Without the actual flow through to the P&L benefit of everyone getting that.
And the
you're
customer
it's like price discrimination. It's like you
Totally.
said, pure economic theory.
Exactly. You are literally letting people choose,
Right.
as opposed to making bad assumptions for everyone.
Right.
Um,
So
we were able to get product market fit on this rebate coupon code alternative.
so zooming out, you come up with the idea. How long does it take you to build the first version of it?
We were parallel tracking it while we were still considering other things.
Yeah.
So by the summer of 22, we
Yeah.
were live. Second half of the summer, it wasn't like design partners. It was GA.
Like real customers are saying, yeah, we're using this and it's working.
Correct. Not a dozen.
So you went from March, sort of the axe coming down on your business,
Yeah.
Shopify saying you have 11 months to do whatever you want to do, but after 11 months, you can't do what you've been doing. To 5 months later in August, you have a product that's out in the market and people are using and
Yeah.
they're happy with. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's like unprecedented.
We were very fortunate that we had a large team. We had a capable team who all wanted to be building and consider themselves founding a team.
And at no point in that 5-month period did you get pressure. Hey, do you need this big of a team?
Not in a way that I can recall, perhaps, but nothing.
Got it. I mean, a testament to you guys to bring your investors along in the right way and sort of keeping them up to date and looped in.
So our fundraising strategy is we took a little bit of money from a lot of people. No one had too much exposure to this.
Yeah.
We did not have a board.
Right.
We had some observers, but we didn't have any directors.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a laissez-faire, like a cap table.
Still, I've heard of other examples where investors, despite not having a seat on
Yeah.
the board or power to actually make decisions, can make life hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were people who gave us some sanity checks, but we didn't have anything too prescriptive.
Yeah.
Not that we experienced. I mean, maybe we're just completely socially ignorant and we missed out on the cues, but
Right.
I don't recall anything explicit.
Now,
Also, we were fast and transparent.
right. So I think that's the key thing. Now fast forward a little bit. So your story actually has a happy ending.
Yeah.
Which I think most stories where a big platform sort of shuts off your access or tells you it's going to be shut off don't have a happy ending. So fast forward a little bit. Tell me about what ended up happening.
We had product market fit of our coupon code alternative, our discount tech called cashback, a nice word for rebates.
Mm-hmm.
Found product market fit in retention marketing, in email and SMS marketing, specifically for Shopify marketers for U.S. brands.
Okay, that was a mouthful. So
It was a mouthful. We conducted A/B tests with brands to say use our discount and test it, split
Versus your
testing
coupon
your
code.
traffic
Yeah.
against your coupon code on something called the pop-up. So when you go to a website, they offer you an incentive to give you their email and SMS.
Totally.
And then you receive a sequence of email and SMSs until you convert.
Yep.
So we would split test the control, the coupon code, versus the cashback, more aggressive offer
Yep.
to measure list growth, which one gets more email and SMS subscribers. I'm talking my book. To look at welcome series revenue, which email and SMS flow would generate more revenue
And
top
always
line,
the cashback.
the coupon or the cashback. And this is split testing the traffic. And then which one does it more profitably? What's the average discount per conversion?
Yep.
So if you recall what I said a bit ago, as I'm 2xing this podcast, that when shoppers complete a cashback eligible purchase, it's done at full price, and
then
they're able to
afterward.
claim it post-purchase. A lot of shoppers don't claim it, and a lot of shoppers, if they do, will take a gift card.
Yep.
So your net effective discount is 30% of the listed discount value.
Correct.
So 30% of 20, call it 6 for easy math here. So then you have a 6% average discount per conversion as opposed to 10% off always.
Yep.
And so are you converting more frequently and more profitably with cashback than the coupon code control?
And just to continually showed that it was a better.
And that was our book.
Right.
Is that's where we had the product market
Yeah.
fit. We tested it in other discount use cases in the marketing channels,
Yeah.
ads, influencers, affiliates, and we have wins there. But this was our product
Yeah.
market fit.
Okay, so you find product market fit, and then what?
We were able to scale in a pretty meaningful way, pretty quickly, and we received interest from traditional rebate companies, and
To
then
acquire you.
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And then we sanity checked that with a couple of other retention marketing companies who we knew well, some of those founders.
Yeah.
And then we wound up selling the business last year. We sold it in May of 23.
So just over a year after everything went crazy, meaning you got the
Correct.
message from
Yeah.
Shopify.
Yeah. All in all, from when we started the business until we sold it, it was slightly
So
more
within
than 2
14
years.
months, you went from here's the axe falling on your head to we need to pivot. We have no idea what to pivot to. We have an idea. We built the idea. We found product market fit, and boom, we have people reaching out to us to acquire, and we sell the company for acquisition.
Yeah. We had we had good product market fit on the product.
Right.
And it was a specific use case. Use this instead of coupon codes on the pop-up and welcome series.
Yep.
Like that was our book, and we were able to acquire a number of Shopify's like most influential brands.
Yep.
They may or may not be the largest, but they carry a lot of swagger.
Yeah.
And so we had great demand for the product.
This podcast isn't really about exits, but how did you, after having gone through that pivot experience, did the possibility of an exit when people started reaching out to you, did that seem more attractive than it might have? I mean, it's just hard to play counterfactual, but like, do you think it made it more attractive because of how much you had to dig out of in order to get to that point?
Maybe. I don't mean to give
Hard to
it.
say. No.
It's hard to say. I think we knew that the product that we pivoted to was a good add-on product. But what we understood is there aren't very few large independent rebate companies. So I think we kind of knew our destiny was that we would be a tuck-in. It's something that became clear to us from the perspective of our investors. And is this, even though we were proud of millions of dollars of revenue, there are no big rebate companies. So we kind of knew this was going to be its destiny.
When you made the pivot, did you think about that at all? Like what the exit is? Like that? Did you think that maybe it'll be a smaller exit because of that? Because of the path you chose?
No. We that was a mistake. Is to say, great businesses are bought, not sold. You don't build a business to get sold. We thought this is a good pivot. We have real demand. It solves a problem. It generates great revenues. The rebate business model. But we didn't talk to investment bankers and say, is this worth pivoting into? It was.
So you look back at that now and say, you use the word mistake. I don't know if you would really think it's a mistake, but you think it was?
I don't know if we would have done anything different with that knowledge.
Right. That's kind of what I'm getting
maybe
at.
it's just our first step. We'll pivot to do something else, or we'll expand on top of it. This is just the way in.
It's kind of like the house is on fire. You found something that
It's not even the house was on fire. This was an awesome problem that we found to solve.
I'm saying before you found the problem, the house is on fire. You have 20 people on staff.
Yeah, the house is totally on fire.
Right. And then you find a ray of light and you say, wait, we believe in this, and then you quickly find product market fit, and you say we're going all in this, and so it's almost like you're trying to live another day. You're not trying to be like, oh, we're going for the $1 billion exit right now.
Right.
And so I guess there's a question of should you have kept going for another 3 months to try to find the $1 billion exit or not? But it's easy, like Monday morning quarterbacking.
We were short and midterm oriented. Like, let's find a product that generates revenue. The whole market was, let's find a path towards profitability. We have a lot of money to build our way there. I don't think we were thinking about, is the product that we're pivoting to going to be $1 billion product? Because we'll create enough value, we can expand it from there.
Right.
I don't think it would have changed anything.
Right.
If we had known that. I mean, look, there are some good rebate companies, but there's just very few.
Okay, so on this topic though, what did you learn? What would you say your biggest takeaways are? So one thing you talked about,
from
like
everything, from this
So
2 years?
let me remind you a couple of things, just because you have a lot of things in your head, but I
certainly have a lot in my head. Yeah.
Right. Like I just took a few away. Highlights. Platform risk. Would you think about that differently if you started another company?
I don't think so. It's just there are great businesses built on top of other platforms.
Right.
Klaviyo is a massively publicly traded, and they're essentially a Shopify tool. So many Salesforce apps on Salesforce. No, I don't. I don't think I would. I don't think I'd build a portfolio built on that. But I don't think so. I think platforms are still fun. There's so many benefits to it.
Right.
Distribution, community, network, agencies. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anything that you did with your team, would you do differently?
Yeah.
How you communicated or how you structured the pivot?
The inclusive pivot, we felt it was essential for retaining the team, but we created too much of a sense of ownership and entitlement in the pivot and company process. That if someone didn't like the idea of what we were pivoting to or thought we should be exploring the pivot differently, I think as the founders, we made everyone else feel like a founder. And a lot of people wanted to be involved intimately in the
Once
pivot.
Once you tell people you're a founder, then you
can't walk that back.
Right. But then they also expect the benefits of being a founder, which is the ability to make decisions.
I think another one is the first company value of we will buy an island. I think we overcorrected from, every company is a family and we have to only do mission-driven businesses, exclusively do mission-driven businesses.
Right.
We were like the counterculture of like pure transactional capitalism.
Right.
And that may have led to short-term thinking of how can we make a buck on this company? Because I've seen a number of founders who maybe they haven't pivoted, but they've had to endure, or they pivoted. And when they do work beyond we will buy an island reason, which is a uniting factor, by the way. All founders start businesses for a number of reasons, but for one of them, it's to create enterprise value and to have an exit event.
Yeah.
And I think we really spoke to people about that too, that we called that out.
Yeah.
But to make that the first value was a transactional business.
Right.
And perhaps we would have endured like the romantic co-founder Abraham to refunds or means to an end for dynamic payouts.
Right.
Like I think of friends of mine who they've had tough goes and they've been enduring, maybe like the person who was on before, is so hard, but because there was a bigger like why, or there was a real mission to it.
Yeah.
I didn't think about refunds or rebates before starting Fondue. I wasn't a 6-year-old saying, I want to get my refunds faster.
Right. So I hear everything in like you're saying what you just
so
said
having
there,
some of that
abstract,
romance is important.
Right. But in the abstract, that sounds great. But in practice, like before, where did you see that evidenced? Like where do you look back and say, oh, that really hurt us here? Was it in the fact that you, like you said, like you pivoted to something that maybe didn't have the highest exit potential?
Yeah.
You were more short-term thinking about it, or was it even in the way that you felt like the employees?
I think our open-mindedness to have sold when we had a couple of offers, like that's a regret. Like those
when you sold, or do you mean earlier?
No. When we sold, I'm ecstatic about it for a number of reasons, which I want to speak about. Yeah. But like that was great. But
you mean when you had those first offers to acquire the team?
Yeah, the acqui-hire.
Oh, you're saying if you had a romance, if you had instilled a romance in the company, you would have been like, no, we're not going to acqui-hire a week after we got this bad news.
Yeah.
We're going to buckle down and try to figure it out.
I think saying to our investors, not just that we're exploring it, but that will be a focus of mine for the next 2 weeks.
Right.
I think that deteriorated some trust on, what type of resilience does he have.
Right. Interesting.
Because if we were in it to make a buck, right? Then it's like, oh, you have all this money, you have a great team. How can you say in one half of your update that you have all this, but also you have real offers that you're considering?
Right.
So I think having some more of the romance would have served me.
By the way, I think there's also a separate point there about what and how to share with investors, right?
Yeah.
They're not sitting in your seat. They're not the CEO of the company. They obviously have a big stake in it because they're your bigger investors. But how do you shape the message? Not lie, because it's not about lying. It's about like, you don't tell your investors every email you get from every customer. You give them an update. Like, customers love our product, or customers aren't liking our product because of X, Y, Z. So the question is, how do you share those discussions with investors? And maybe, I don't know, maybe you would look at it and be like, I could have shared that in a different way.
Yeah, I could have said, like, at that moment, it was my preference. Like,
Right.
This would have solved everything.
Right.
I'm
open. Everyone's always open to offers, but we'll hear them out, but it's not our preference. Right.
Correct.
Right.
Like, we're here to build to create value versus here's a scapegoat.
Yeah.
It was a very tempting and convenient option
Right.
when it was there.
Right. Anything else that you can pull out? You don't have to.
No, I'm thinking.
But you did say there was something you wanted to say about the acquisition.
For a number of reasons, we're happy that we sold. It was a good outcome. Postscript's a company that bought Fondue. They've been incredible to the team since October 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Totally supportive. They came out here shortly after the war began at a time when many people weren't coming to Israel to be trying to scale a business, likely at a point to need to raise capital. When a tremendous amount of the team was on Miluim, a lot of people left Israel too.
Reserve duty.
Reserve duty. A lot of people left Israel due to the war. To have had the responsibility of being the CEO and providing for families, right? Being responsible for ensuring that we have the runway and the cash for it. And when the team is out, Postscript's been incredible to the team. It's also been like from a synergy. It's been awesome to see our product.
So yeah, I think
in so
you've
many
told me this
people's
before.
hands.
It's probably like one of the few examples of an acquisition that has synergies from like day one.
It's been awesome.
Like an actual like real synergies, not like accounting synergies.
Yeah.
Like it made sense for them to acquire you.
Yeah, we're all happy with it. It's been great.
That's awesome.
It is awesome.
Any last thoughts? Anything? Before I say that, well, yeah, let's start with this. Any last thoughts like about the process of going through this last 3-year journey that you think would be interesting? People who tuned in to hear about the pivot, like anything we didn't cover.
Probably. Nothing comes to mind right now about something that we didn't cover.
That's fine. If it's not popping out, then I don't want to force you to say something.
No.
So where can people find you, find Fondue? Like, are you active on social media? Are you active anywhere? Just where can they, if they're interested in trying Fondue for their own purposes?
If you're an e-commerce brand with a coupon code addiction, you should totally reach out to anyone at Fondue or Postscript. They'd be happy to walk you through it. You could find me on Twitter at Charnoff or on LinkedIn. That's where Fondue and I and Postscript are.
Awesome. Well, Oren, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Totally.
I appreciate you putting your trust in me to be my second guest, and
Totally.
looking forward to getting this live.
Awesome.
Talk
Thanks,
soon.
man.